The Mobcast.
All right, here it goes. The official interview. We got Dre right here. Dre Evans. You may know him from Pervbusters. What up, Dre?
What's up, man?
What are we getting into today? I got a couple questions. I gotta read from here because my memory is shot to shit, bro. Because I smoked so much weed in my lifetime.
It's all good.
In my 26 years. Can I start off with asking how old are you, bro?
Man, how old do I look?
I'm trying to go off of me. I'm 26, but I look old as fuck. All right, so you're definitely in your early half of the 20s.
Okay. How old do you think Nas is?
Nas has that facial hair, so I don't know. All right, I'm gonna guess you're 24.
Okay. So you older than me?
I think I'm older than you.
Okay, I'm 30.
Nah.
I'm 30.
Nah.
Yeah, I'm 30.
Damn. What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm barely getting in.
That's what they say.
I promise, I'm barely
I thought that
getting,
was a choice.
No, I'm barely getting this. I couldn't grow facial hair for a long time.
I'll tell you what, bro. I'm 26 and I found a couple of white hairs in my mustache and one or two in my beard.
That's that wisdom.
I guess you can call it wisdom.
That's what it is.
I just call it bad genes. So look, we're gonna get into this interview. I'm gonna sip a little bit. I'm not gonna get too drunk, but you know we're gonna get a little bit loose in here.
Oh, yeah.
So look, you want a refill? No,
Nah, I'm good.
Okay, and this is straight like I just poured this into mine. So whatever's left over, if you want to dilute it with that, go ahead. Okay, so you're 30. Who's older, you or Nas?
Me?
You're older.
Nas is your age.
Nas my age?
Nas is 27.
Okay, so almost.
He just turned. Yeah.
He just turned 27.
Yep.
Was his birthday in March?
July 22nd.
Oh, okay.
He was born in 95.
What the fuck? The math ain't mathing on that because I was born in 97.
Nas, no, cause I'm born in 93.
Okay.
Nas, July hadn't came, so Nas turned 28 this year.
What the fuck? How many numbers you throwing?
Is
Is he 27, 28?
Watch it, let me see.
Or is he 26?
He was born in 95, right?
Okay, let's do the math. 'Cause I'm too dumb to do it even
No.
though I'm sober.
We're gonna do the math.
Let's do it.
So you do 95.
Okay.
Watch this.
He was born on a leap year.
Let me see. 95.
Okay.
You put 95. There it is. Okay. Oh my God, what is all this? Okay.
We got water in the building, but we're only using it to prop up our shit so we can get more flavor.
Yeah, the man, he turned 28 this year. Because
That makes sense,
95 take away 2023 is 28.
Okay.
So he turned 28 this year because I'm 2 years older than him.
Damn. So let me ask you this: where did you guys grow up?
Man, we grew up all in Mid-City.
Your whole life? You grew up in the city?
Our first place we moved to, my mom's first place was Washington and Thurman.
Mm-hmm.
Then we moved from Washington and Thurman to Washington and Hauser. Then we moved from Washington and Hauser to Washington and Crenshaw.
Damn.
Then we moved from Washington and Crenshaw to Washington and La Brea.
You know what's crazy about there's a couple things. You said Hauser. I don't know where on Hauser, but I ran into some cousins recently at we had a family. Oh, you know what? I was telling you, bro. So my grandpa had passed. Remember, I told you a couple months back. So I had seen some family I hadn't seen in a long time, and I don't know why I always thought they lived in Arizona. I'm like, where you stay at? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, we're over here and we live in Mid-City. Probably never heard of it. I'm like, you live in Mid-City? Yep. I live in Mid-City. Like, really? We thought you lived blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I thought you lived blah, blah, blah. It's like, nah, we live in Mid-City. We live on Hauser and whatever the fuck. That's crazy. And then you said Washington and Crenshaw. That's where my girl works at.
Yeah, Washington and Crenshaw. We lived at a gated community called Lafayette Square.
Oh,
yeah,
damn.
We used to have that mini mansion. We was living there for about like 3 years. We was there.
Wow.
So, yeah, man. We lived in like mid city, like our whole life, really. Our whole life.
That's crazy, dude. I seen you guys. Actually, it was Jay, I think. Excuse me. Damn, I'm very sorry. That's gross. Okay, that's the girl.
Like, go ahead.
Listen,
man.
Bro. Look,
we in a man cave, man.
I know, but I didn't run into him, but I seen was Jay. Mm-hmm. He was at Planet Fitness. I'm like, dude, I'm part of that same Planet Fitness. Obviously, I don't go too much, but I'm like, dude, for as close as we live, and for as long as you guys have been in Mid-City, I've only been here the last couple of years, but I've never ran into you guys. It's crazy. We be shopping at the same thing. And I was looking, you guys started the Pervbusters at the same time I moved into Mid-City, which is 2020. That's when my kid was born.
Yeah, because around that time, when it was right. It was right. It was in the midst of pandemic.
In the pandemic.
So how that came about? I'm watching Chris Hansen Dateline NBC, and I'm just seeing like it was one episode they kept catching the same dude. They call him like 3 times.
Yeah, it was the dude that he kind of looks like a rat or a mouse. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? He has a big nose.
Yeah,
Mexican dude, huh?
Yeah, they kept catching him back there. I'm like, damn. And they had me think. I'm like, damn. You know how many motherfuckers that is uncaught, like they just out just doing shit, like especially social media makes it so easy for them to do, you know. So I hit my brother up, I hit Naz, and I was like, man, we should do this, right? Wow. So he was like, all right, you know. I didn't think he was gonna be too serious about it. I was like, I just told him I'm on the phone, I'm hyped up, I'm like, yeah, create the Instagram, this and this and that. He was like, all right. He went and did it. The next day, he was like, "Oh, come on, let's do it." I'm like, I gotta go to work. Yeah. He was like, all right. He went and caught his first person, and once I seen,
was that the guy that wanted his ass eaten?
Yeah, he wanted his ass eaten.
I'll never forget.
He wanted his ass. Dion is legendary, man. Dion was the first Pokemon. That was the starter Pokemon you catch with Dion. And he fled away. You know, they usually get away, but they don't get away when once we get them on film. You know, because a lot of people want us to put our hands on them, and then it's really, you know, we do that. We do that. It's kind of like, okay, afterwards, you know, we leave that really up to the fans. You know, if the fans want to do that, they can do that. You know, but for the most part, it's kind of really just registering them on the internet. You know what they say? Once you put it on the internet, it's forever.
Yeah, it's forever. So, it's indefinitely. So they're pretty much, you know, it's a whole different game from registering them as a sex offender on like any official government site, because someone would have to go out of their way from that. Yeah. You put it on the internet, it's coming to you. You're seeing it live on your feed. People are sharing it, especially when it's somebody that they know. Like, oh man, I'm not trying to work your face, bro. Let me tell you something, bro. Like, over the time, I've been working on content. Okay, I've been working on content for hours, actually since last night. But I've also, you know, I've been indulging in shit like that. Okay, so that's where all that gas has come from. But normally, okay. I just want to put that because we're on camera. But look, it's totally different when you put it on the internet. I feel like it has a different meaning to it, and it's pretty raw. You know, it's totally different from reading it, because you can always say that's a different Deion Sanders or whatever. That's a different Deion Sanders that was caught for that. That's not me, because it's on paper, right? But like, if you put them on film and you have these people admitting to these things, it's like, okay, cool. You're letting people know. Actually, like, first and foremost, you're telling the people.
Yeah.
But like, one thing I can remember is, I don't know if you remember when we gave back to the community, I was mentioning that you guys had caught somebody that went to the same high school that I went to.
Man,
Santa Monica High School.
That's crazy.
I actually went and dug up the footage, but it's on my phone. Unfortunately, my phone is what's doing this fucking interview now, so I can't show you. But I think your brother said his name was Greg during that meeting. I don't know.
It's funny. My brother. He gonna hate me for it. He built like some weird relate. He be knowing these guys. He be knowing their names. He said it's Greg.
No. Naz was saying that his name was Greg. He was bullshitting basically. He was like, so the way he approached him, he goes, hey, bro, you look familiar. What high school did you go to? He goes, oh, Samo. Oh. He goes, Santa Monica High School, Samo.
So that verifies it.
Yeah, in order to verify the perv. Yeah. So the perv, unknowingly verified himself, and then at that point, Naz is playing into it. He goes, yeah, don't you remember me? My name is Greg. I went to school with you. He was bullshitting. So when I met you guys, I was like, you guys said that you knew one of the pervs, blah, 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 blah. Oh. So, but I didn't realize because I had only seen it was so long ago, but I had to brush up on it after we met. Okay. I went back and I looked at that.
Damn.
But no.
How did that make you feel though?
That it was
like y'all went to the same school and not knowing
age, actually.
But not knowing like, damn, that motherfucker is a perv. Like I gotta watch Sisters. I gotta watch my daughter. This motherfucker, he get like that. See that?
So the way that made me feel, it's crazy that you asked that because a lot of that stuff, a lot of what you guys do touches close to home. And I'm not gonna say too much because I don't want to put people out there. I haven't personally, and I thank God for this, I've never been in a situation where I've been a victim of that, right? So thank God for that, but I know people personally that are like within my inner circle of the family that have been unfortunately victims to that, bro. So the way that shit made me feel was like kind of like scared, because at that time when I found you guys, that was 2020. So, and my daughter was just born, and I told my girl when we found out she was pregnant, the one thing I was like, I hope it's a boy. She's like, why? I'm like, look, I'm grateful for whatever God gives me. As long as they're healthy, even if they're not born healthy, I don't care. Like, I'm grateful, right? But the thing is about a girl versus a boy is like, girls are just target, like, not to say boys aren't, because it can happen to a boy too, but like, girls are just, for whatever reason, they're on everyone's radar. Like, everyone wants to target them. Yeah. So I was like, that's the only thing. Is like, I'm kind of scared because of the things I can't control within having a daughter, bro. So that's the way that made me feel, bro. I'm like, man, to be so close to home. I was actually born in Santa Monica. I was for the most part raised in Santa Monica too. So that was like kind of nutty. I'm like, wow, that's real scary, bro.
Yeah, because this.
And he looked like a regular dude.
Look like a they all do.
Yeah, if you were to draw what you would think is a pedophile, he would not come up.
Yeah. This is the thing. They look regular, but when you expose them again, it all come out. It all comes out. It all come out. You'll start seeing how weird they are. You'll start seeing you be like, damn, this motherfucker is really. And we just gotta understand like how society is. But the reason why cops don't. I mean, come on now. Why is it taking citizens to? Why are we able to do it like that? That means it's easy to. Cops can really just do this. But cops, they don't look at it as important. It's not really important. And then when you look at how society is built and how the powers that be, the government, they're advocating with all the LGBTQ things and stuff that their whole movement, the conclusion is to go after the children, right? Is to go after the children and persuade the children to indulge in unlawful, profane things that society wouldn't deem as moral.
Moral, right.
So that's why if you pay attention to all their rallies and all that, they're always naked. Like, you don't have to be half naked and say, oh, I'm free, I'm liberal. So why is it a guy in a thong? Why with painting with a painting that says don't judge me. But you're in a thong. You're 40 years old with hair on your body, in a thong, with colored hair, saying all this. You're not getting your point across.
Yeah.
It's actually weird.
Hurting. Yeah. Look, you know what? That's interesting that you said that, because one thing that I always thought of is like, you ever see those women that go out with absolutely no shirt on, right? And their clothing is painting, right? Okay. And before I say any of this, let me stop myself right now. Whatever anyone wants to do with their life, completely fine. I don't, and also let me say this too. One thing I don't agree with is, let's say two people want to get married because they love each other. Right. Genuinely fucking, this is just my person. I just love you. I just want to get married. I don't believe in people stopping them because, I'm a Christian, so you can't get married, because that's not what I believe in. I think it's like, well, what if that person's a Buddhist trying to get married? Like, that has nothing to do with you. Or what if, you know what I mean? So I'm like, don't let your own beliefs kind of stop somebody else from being happy. That's fucked up. I think that's fucked up. But let me go in on this as far as we're talking about LGBTQ getting married, and as far as like involving children. I think it's pretty strange when people would like to outwardly expose themselves and they're using paint as their clothing, right? Because imagine me saying, hey, I'm straight, let's have a straight rally, and I have my dick out and it's painted as like an elephant trunk. Like, that's not cool, bro.
Exactly. It'd be like,
that's just not cool, bro.
It'd be like, okay, I get that's what you want to do. What do it mean?
What does it mean?
What do it mean?
You know what reaches me? Look, let me say this too. What reaches me is when you come out with statistics and you come out with facts and you come out with actual things that's like, hey, you know what? A man was beaten to death because he was transgender or whatever. That shit fucks me up. I'm like, wow, I see that. I'm like, that's not fucking okay. Like, just because he wanted to, he or she, I don't, whatever, wanted to dress or identify a certain way, they shouldn't get treated any differently. That part gets to me, and I think that's what they should emphasize. But I don't think when you're putting your shit out there outwardly like that, it kind of distracts from the message. It's like you're putting, I think their argument is stop emphasizing my sex, but you're kind of counteracting that when you're emphasizing a sexual act or a sexual organ and you're putting it out there up front and stuff like that. And I could be miseducated on the thing. Yeah. I'm not, what do you call it? I'm not going to argue that I could be miseducated. Yeah. Maybe. So if somebody...
I have cousins that, everybody have cousins, at least one or two, that indulge in that lifestyle. Right. And my cousin, they tell the truth. My cousin told the truth. It is an agenda. This is what politics.
That's what you mean. Let me hold up before. Let me stop you. Yeah. Hey, before anybody comes in and tries to say that this man right here is spreading hate, that's absolutely not. What he is trying to say is to say objectively that politics do not play a part in anything as far as LGBTQ. That's 100% wrong, and that's one thing. I'm always willing to accept that I may be miseducated in some subjects, but that is one thing that I know for a fact. Politics absolutely plays a part. The same way that if you're straight and let's say you're like a fucking gun nut and you love guns, politics plays a part into that. So if you're an LGBTQ ally or part of that community, politics is going to play a part of that as well. So that is all he's trying to say. Please do not come after him for speaking whatever he speaks. That's the whole point of freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech.
It's freedom of speech. So go ahead, say whatever you think.
So, it's going. Don't worry, viewers. It's going to be real light on where I'm touching, because the point of it is okay. The whole premise of what I'm saying is, when I stated earlier, it's their objective is to go after the children. That's the whole objective. that's why if you notice, they couldn't wait. It's in the schools like that, like immediately. When you were in school, when I was in school, we didn't even hear about that. Half of the time, it was kind of like, if you found out somebody was like that, this and that, I mean, respectfully, I mean, you know, they either got dealt with a certain way or they kept it closed doors. You wouldn't, it'd just become a rumor. Oh, that person is like that. It'd just become a rumor, but nobody will really know. You'll only know, if not in high school, after high school.
Right.
It's not like you know, that whole thing, it's not a thing where people of that indulge in that lifestyle are getting attacked. Right. They're not getting attacked. It's not that. Where I was going at is my cousin said it's an agenda. When you pay attention to everything that they stand for, it's all for sexual act. That's all it's for. For them to want to do what they want to do with the same sex. That's all it is. You know, and if that's so, let it be so. But you don't have to tell nobody. Just do it. You don't have to tell you. It becomes where it's looking like it's forced when you're saying, y'all need to accept it. We really, personally, society as a whole don't have to accept nothing. Really, they don't even have to accept, let's keep it honest. You can see where if a white woman want to be with a black guy, society can say no. They cannot accept it.
Right.
I mean,
it's up to you.
It's up to you. It's up to you at that. But when you're constantly trying to shove it down, society is going to naturally revolt, because when they feel like they're being forced, just like that's why the government don't do certain things, because the government know if we force things, they're going to revolt. So the government will do certain things like, you know, they'll like set little traps here and there. And because they know if they just put it down someone's throat or society's throat, society is going to revolt, you know. And again, you said it earlier, even that whole movement, they're being helped. The government is helping them because they're setting traps with putting it in movies now. They put it in cartoon shows now. They're setting little traps to where now they got it in schools now, to where you got a grown man with Andre the Giant hands, you know, telling a child he could be whatever he wants to be.
Right.
But the point, that's the only thing I'm gonna just say. It's not with that movement, but I'm just saying when a person is deceptive, when they tell someone and use trickery words like you could be whatever you want to be, but their whole goal of saying that is, do you feel like you're a guy? Do you feel like you're a boy? No, if you're gonna say that, just come out to try and tell that boy you're really a girl. Do you want to be a girl? No, don't try to use words because children get persuaded. They get influenced. So if you tell a child, are you human? You probably a dog. They're going to believe it. Yeah. So that's why I feel that's my whole thing with that community. That's why season 7 of Pervbusters, we're going after men that want to mess with boys, you know, because that is, most of the politicians, all the presidents dealt with boys. The Roman Catholic Church, they deal with boys. That's, you know, as far as the Pope, you know, that whole order is, when you look at pictures or depictions or statues, it's grown naked men and it's little white angels next to it. And that is all symbolic. So they know that, you know, children are the gateway of destroying society. Once you tamper with the children, like a lot of the children, it's normal of them thinking that we supposed to wear masks of the pandemic. But us, we know for a fact that is not normal. We did not grow. It came out. So they're growing up thinking, oh, this is normal. I put on a mask. But we're looking like, this ain't normal. We didn't grow up with that. We didn't grow up. We grew up. I mean, most children don't even know that you can really go outside and play and have neighbors and this and that. I drove up and down the street. I don't see no kids playing outside no more. Kids how they're conditioned. So I know that the powers that be, that whole movement, they're directed to go after the children. That's one of my issues with that movement when it comes to that. Don't go after the children. Just stay dealing with the adults. Right. And they know it's hard to deal with the adults because most adults are stuck in their ways. So if you don't get them when they're a child, guess what? When they hit 40, however they are, you're not persuading them.
Exactly.
So that's why they know, forget them. Let's just argue with them. But when we argue with them, we're going to argue with them so much to where the adults are so tired. They're just going to not argue with us no more because they're old and tired. And then we can go after their children because that's what they're doing. They're going after the children, telling the children that you could be whatever you want to be. And we got to keep it nice and simple. You're either going to be a male or a female. And male and female goes in every species. Right. You can everything. You can be you can have a marijuana plant. You'll know it's a male.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Seeds or something.
Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead. Let me insert it for again. And it's probably gonna be the last time I'm for this interview. And the rest I'm gonna let you go off.
Oh yeah.
But just because this topic is so controversial right now, so let me interpret what you're trying to say. I have a daughter. I'll use my daughter as an example. If one day my daughter, right now she's wearing Elmo shirts, she's wearing stuff like that. She's 3. One day she's going to grow up and want to wear a two-top, and she might be 15, 14, around that age. That's the age where your style starts to change. You kind of decide, not that you're deciding, but you're dipping the toe in each thing to decide who you are, what you like, and what flows with you. So if she decides she wants to wear tube tops, and I'm not on board with it. Her mom is kind of more, you can wear tube tops, honey. Your father will come around. I'm the type of person, and I think most people are the type of person that at the end of the day, my daughter at 14, at 15, I am not going to go in her room and dress her and say, I'm not going to put clothes on her. She's grown. She could put clothes on herself, right? So if what she's deciding to wear, if I don't agree with it, I don't like it, I fight it. I might tell her, you're not going out like that. I'll tell her. What's going to happen is she can wear a hoodie, wear some sweats, and as soon as she gets to school, she'll take the hoodie off, take off the sweats, and she's wearing what the fuck she wants to wear. And eventually, as she gets older, now she's 16, now she's 17, it's been over the years where I'm like, you know what? My daughter, I don't appreciate the way she dresses. It doesn't align with my morals, with my ideals. However, I can't deny this person, my daughter, is a good person. She gets good grades or whatever. Even if she's not, I can't deny. Who am I to tell her at some point? You cannot tell her. I can just learn to agree to disagree. I think that's the thing that most people can agree with, is that at some point humans naturally we learn to agree to disagree. So when you force something, like let's take it back to the beginning with that analogy. My girl is telling me, honey, you have to let her go. You have to not only accept her going out with the tube top, you have to encourage her to go out with a tube top. You have to encourage her to dress provocative and to show some skin. That is uncomfortable to me. I don't agree with forcing anyone to be like, hey, hey, you have to agree with her. I think it's like, look, she's gonna make a lifestyle choice, and eventually I'll agree with her. Eventually I'll accept that she has her own lifestyle choices, right? So basically, to kind of cut the analogy, if you're gonna be a boy who dresses as a girl. Maybe personally I don't agree with it, but I wouldn't like it if you shoved it down my throat and said, hey, Tommy, you have to agree with it. Not only do you have to agree with it, you have to encourage it. That's the part where I kind of get off the boat. I'm like, no. Look, if you would have just done that for years, and eventually I think it would be like, you know what? At this point, who cares? Dress how you want to dress. But when you're telling me I have to drink, even the fact that I'm explaining this as an analogy kind of lets you know that the script has flipped to where people are uncomfortable to have their own personal opinions. You know what I mean? It's almost uncomfortable or taboo to say your opinion that is not in favor of the LGBTQ. Now, again, before we started this, we both agreed, LGBTQ, cool, do what you gotta do, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. But basically, I'm trying to interpret that the fact that you're forcing an opinion, you're forcing someone to accept, the way you feel, whatever, you're doing the opposite of what your message is. Your message is to, hey, we just want people to accept us, blah, blah, blah. Okay, wanting to accept and forcing to accept, two separate things. I don't agree with that. It's like, if I wear baseball hats every day, I don't want you to I'm not going to force you to accept that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, let me get to the second part. Children, I've seen a big thing recently about parents that are, not wanting their kid to transition before the age of 13, or I'm sorry, before the age of 18. That trips me out because I remember, and this wasn't too long ago, I'm only 26. I remember you couldn't your parents wouldn't let you decide to get a tattoo before the age of 18 because that's permanent. Nowadays, tattoos aren't so permanent, you can get them removed. But in the same way that a tattoo is a permanent, so is a surgery, so is taking hormone blockers.
Why do you think that?
Why do I think that there's
I can give you my opinion. My opinion would be the best answer I can think of. And it would be because we have, as society, we have this notion, it's just like what we talked about off camera, about this whole snitching thing. This whole snitching thing is a made up shit. That's made up.
Right.
We have had this thing that you agree to disagree. What I've noticed, this is what I've noticed in my anecdotal life, where I live. Most of the people that say that are aunties, mothers, females. They're the only ones that say disagree because they can't argue their points.
Mm-hmm.
When men don't typically do that. Men, we gotta come down to it gotta be an answer. I'm not saying we're agreeing to disagree because now it's not no answer. You're just saying, you know what, this is what you think, this is what I think, and just because we're not coming to an answer of who's right, because in every situation is right or wrong. Mm-hmm. Every situation. It's rarely you're going to have two people that are just flat out wrong. It's always going to be a cause and effect. It's always going to be a person that started it, the person that's finished it. It could be a person that started it, right? And then the person react from it, and he may have took it too far. But guess what? Who started it? I mean, so what I'm coming down to it is that this whole where we're coming from is coming from a don't judge me. You can't judge. Let's just agree to disagree because that's the only thing, because we can't argue. And when you go to debates or you go to the court, you go to court, don't do that. The judge is not saying, let's agree to disagree. No, you know what they're doing? They're hearing what you're saying. Okay. The defendant, the plaintiff, okay. We're not going to, okay, I heard you. Agree to disagree. No.
I've never heard of that. That's a fucking crazy argument. Because I've never heard of I've never heard of, was he guilty or not guilty? He's, that's not a verdict.
No,
you're either guilty or you're not guilty.
That's crazy. Society are the only ones that do it, and guess what happened? It opened doors for things to infiltrate. So when shit happens amongst us, we do shit like if we're in a debate and I watch it all the time. It's always someone who can't argue their point. Mm-hmm. They can't argue their point. And they go into, let's just agree to disagree. Why? Maybe I don't want to do that because I want to make sure if we're settling this, because 9 times out of 10, when people say that, a person could say, okay, I can tell you agree to disagree, right? I promise you, things like that are never settled. You tell somebody that they still in their head, they still like, I'm right. I'm still right. Even though, because it's going to be brought up again.
It depends. I'll be honest. Look, I feel like as far as that, it depends. Because I'm a believer of like, when you go into it, there's a difference between a conversation and an argument. If you're going into an argument, you're going with the mindset of I'm proving here that I'm right today. And so there has to be a right, there has to be a wrong. If you go into with a conversation, you're saying, I'm going here to explain how I feel in my thoughts, and I'm going here to learn how the other person feels and what their thoughts are. Right. That's what I think personally. But
it's still a disagreement, because think about it.
Here's the thing. Look, I think, and this is me personally. I'm glad that you're sharing your opinion because I'm like, that's exactly the point. You feel me? Because if everyone could just share their opinion and not have to agree with each other, I think that it'd be a little bit of chaos, but at the same time, there wouldn't be one person feeling like they're not being heard or not being appreciated. Now, mind you, I'm a straight male. I have a wife and a family. I think you and I, off the record, have a lot of the same values. Mm-hmm. However, one thing that throws people off, and this is kind of going to change topics a little bit. People say being gay is not natural. Now, am I gay? Absolutely not. But do I think that it happens in nature? I think it does, bro. I think it does. And I have a killer fucking argument for it. It always throws people off. It always throws people off. It always throws people off.
It can, that's something.
But honestly, say what you feel.
Okay, the closest, I say this, the closest that humans can be, they can get their morals of how things are structured from the closest in any species. You have to look in the animal kingdom, which is the lions.
Okay.
Lions do everything in order.
Okay.
There's order. When you see 2 male lions in a pack full of female lions, 9 times out of, well, not 9 times, most of the time, 10 out of 10, that them 2 lions are brothers. They're brothers, and they're sleeping with all the women. Mm-hmm. That's how they preserve their bloodline to keep order.
To go even further than that, not to interrupt you, but at some point, one is going to kill the other. And it's the same thing with you're talking about lions, because I think you're talking about lions because they're right under us as far as top of the food chain, right? That's why you use that.
Yeah. Okay. But I don't know if the brothers ever really kill each other.
Okay, so maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, but I say that because
the brothers share the same bloodline. The only time you see a lion killing a lion,
if it's an outsider,
or it's the outsider's babies, he'll kill it. But I've never seen. That's what we get from Disney with Lion King, where he had Scar. That's a whole different thing. Scar just wanted to be king. That's all he wanted.
Yeah, I mean, well, that story was adapted from Shakespeare anyway.
Yeah,
I think that was Macbeth.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, just the whole structure of, like I said, like how things is built. That's where we have, again, we had this conversation with a person that was born of that lifestyle. They'll say, "Oh, I was born this way," right? Mm-hmm. They could be right. Mm-hmm. They could be right. They really could.
Yeah.
But there are too many accounts, too many of people that when something happened to them, they get altered. It's called corruption. So when a little boy is touched, when a little boy is touched or raped or whatever, it corrupts him. That's why matter of fact, prime example, most of the women that go through trauma with breakups and having horrible relationships, what they do? They turn gay. Next thing you know, they like girls now. Because what happened? Because they didn't do good in this, or something happened, something traumatic in their head happened, and it turned them off from the opposite sex, so they like the same sex. There's certain things like that. We hear other accounts of it being through vaccines, little things like that. But 9 times out of 10, if a person was born that way, so be it. They were born that way. They just gotta keep it 100. They just can't be deceitful and tell the truth. Most of them were touched at some point. They were touched, and the thing that I've learned, just like when we catch pregnant, when doors like that get opened up, it's hard to close. That's why you have to protect the children. Once you open the door up or open that door up for a child, it's hard to close it. Right. You will have to really work on closing that door, or if you don't and leave it open, they're going to indulge in so much.
Yeah, so. And let me kind of like, just because we're talking about children. The reason why that's such a significant conversation that you would want to have with somebody that's over the age of 18 at the very least, right? Is because it's the same thing as you wouldn't want to have a conversation about divorce with a fucking minor. You wouldn't want to do that. They're not mentally mature enough, and it's really something that it takes your innocence. Now, I have a big issue with that because I totally agree that if you have an adult conversation with a minor, it doesn't matter. You can have the best interest. And I think that's where people get fucked up right there. Yeah. Is they're thinking, oh, you know what, so what? I have the best interest of this child that feels like they're a girl. Yeah. Well, you know what? And I think we can all agree it's just probably a bad example. I have a cousin that at a very young age was very into trains and was convinced he was going to be a train conductor. He was just obsessed with trains. Yeah. We let him roll. We didn't whatever. We didn't shit on his train dreams. He could be a train conductor, the best train conductor that has ever conducted. That's great. We didn't shit on that. Now, it's like fucking, he's never talked about a train in his life. So why would you and that's just trains. But on the grander scheme, anytime you bring up sex with a child, it takes away their innocence, because at that point you're bringing them into an adult conversation, into an adult world. I don't agree with somebody that wants to kind of convince or persuade somebody, because even if you think it's their best interest, you might think, hey, this child, if I don't have this conversation with them, maybe they'll commit suicide and blah, blah, blah. I understand the intentions are good, but there's other outlets, there's other ways of preventing that. Maybe sometimes like a kid might commit self-harm because they don't feel like they're a boy. Maybe they feel like they're a girl, but they were born in a boy's body. There's such things as therapy. There's other outlets, you know what I mean? Yeah. But a lot of that conversation has to be put off until they're adults and they can make their own decision. I don't agree with trying to push an agenda on the kids, like, hey.
Well, I'm glad you said that real quick. That just shows you where I was going to get into, because now it's not even just about that movement or that community or, but it goes into when you have people that want to harm themselves or suicide or this and that, because suicide is a mental issue. If you can hurt yourself, they can hurt others easy. Right. It tells you that's a telltale sign that it's something wrong with them mentally. That means if you're gonna hurt yourself because you can look in the mirror and know that you're not a woman, you're a man and you're not a woman, or you can look at yourself and say, I like men and society is not especially especially this generation.
Definitely.
This generation cannot hold that because they have you can go to West Hollywood and find a whole city, a whole community of that. So you can find your group. Everybody, you can find your group of where you want to be at. That don't mean, so when they use that now, it goes back what I said earlier. It's deceitful. It's a sign of trying to use trickery, because there's already trickery, especially you got the trans. You know, that's trickery in itself. You're changing how you look to look like something else that you're really not. And 9 times out of 10, you're not telling the man you're a man. You're not. You're not. Most of them are doing it, but most of them don't. And the thing is, I mean, in this generation, nobody should not be suffering with suicidal or none of that, because they have laws that protect them. They have a whole movement. They have government funding. They have all of that. So there's no excuse. If they're still using that, it goes back to what I said. It's just deceitful. It's just being deceitful. That's it. You're just trying to use trickery and have a person think. It goes back to let's agree to disagree. That's where you make the other person shut up. Let's just agree to disagree, because I can't really argue with you, argue my point. You go to any debate or any congressman, they don't do that. I be watching that shit. They don't sit and get ready to pass laws. Okay, you say this, you say that. Republicans don't even do that. Republicans and Democrats don't even do that. They're the same, but they don't even do that. They say, I don't agree with you on that. You agree with that? No? Okay. They continue on.
Yeah. And they find
we're the only society is the only ones that say no, yes, let's just agree to disagree. Move on to the next one. Mind you, that's corrupt now. Because now that's confusing. That's like you telling your girl, are you hungry? Yes, no. You gonna be like, what the fuck do that mean? It's confusing. So it's society just gotta, man, it's this is what I want to say.
Okay, go ahead.
This is what I want to say. What I'm thinking right now is a clear cut is when something is corrupt, it has a domino effect. So it goes back, everything that I just said, all this gonna go to what I'm about to say right now. It goes to where when we're catching pedophiles, we're catching me and my brother are catching pervs. Ralph's banned us from that. Not only that, the police don't want to help us with that because it's the whole, not just us, stop from us all the way up. It's corrupt to where it's just, we have so much that we have messed up on, and it goes all the way back into people's family, because it starts in the family. All that shit. You know, someone know a cousin who got raped, but they keep it under the rug, or somebody got touched in church, they keep it under the rug. The stepdad touched the son, they keep it under the rug. So now when it comes out in society, guess what? Society shows you no one cares, because the people that work at Rouse, at some point they've experienced or know someone who got touched. But guess what? They have been conditioned to just agree to disagree. Don't worry about it. Don't judge. And guess what? When they come out in reality, it shows. It shows. So that's where I don't really do the whole agree to disagree. It's either if we don't have an answer, guess what? We're going to set that aside. That's still an issue that has to be resolved. Because if I watch,
we're gonna circle back to it.
We're gonna circle back to it because we can't come up with set that aside. Let's handle these, and then we'll come back to this because this has to get fixed. When I watch mafia movies, they don't do that shit.
They don't do that shit.
They having the so yeah. You want to whack Johnny?
No.
No. Okay. Okay. Well, you don't want to whack Johnny, but your boy want to whack Johnny. So we got to come up with it. You don't want to do it, but he want to do it. We got to come up with something. It's not going to be just agree to disagree. Just don't worry about it. No, because now no one's in agreements.
Mm-hmm.
We can't be in agreements off of saying, let's just agree to not talk about it. That's what that's saying.
In other words, I'm selling this cup right here for 50 cents. You're saying you want to buy it for 25 cents. I said, okay, let's disagree, or let's agree to disagree. It's either 50 or 25 cents. You're like, that doesn't make fucking sense right there.
Come on now, man.
So like, is this now? Are you selling this cup for 50 cents or 25?
Exactly.
That's again, it's whatever example. I'm known for giving like bad examples, but
matter of fact, I'm sorry, man. Matter of fact, even like when we went viral with the Adam 22, you see, we had a good strong 2 weeks, 2 strong weeks of people just going viral. Now they just swept it under the rug because Adam done it before. He knows how to sweep under the rug. You just don't talk about it.
Dude, you know what's crazy? Okay, so I think I told you last time, his last name is Grand Mason.
Oh, yeah?
His last name is Grand Mason. He grew up in not only a rich environment, but an environment where he was connected to political figures. He knew the Clinton family before they came into the presidential office,
like
during the time of presidential office, after the time of presidential. So it's like, and like, they're connected in forces beyond us. They're connected into the government, to be honest. And his pops is still around. That'll be an interesting dude to talk to. Obviously, not with us. They'll never give us a time. No. But it's a trip that they have their hands in so many things to where I don't know what you violated on Instagram to go to get banned for so long. Bro, but let me tell you this. You've been doing this since 2020, correct?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
crazy. Hold on. Yes or no? You've been doing this since 2020.
Yeah.
When did you get banned?
Shit, I ain't gonna lie.
It's been 2023. You got banned in 2023, right?
We got banned. Now my brother been banned for a whole month. He's still banned now.
And let me ask you this.
He got banned the second week of March.
Let me ask you this.
Damn.
When you were exposing pedophiles that were nobodies, that were living in amongst our neighborhoods, you were okay.
We were okay.
When you started exposing somebody, the first time you exposed somebody that was living in a neighborhood that was beyond us, what happened?
We got banned.
You got banned. I didn't know that Instagram wanted to ban you from exposing pedophiles. I didn't know that because you were able to do it for 3 years. Instagram didn't have a problem. How come after 3 years, after one specific catch, why did you get banned? And then let me ask you this. How come everybody and their mom and their brother and their sister, why were they reposting? Oh, this person, look at this headline. Look at this headline. Look at this headline. Yeah. Check it out. You were news of the week. You were the hottest shit. You got, almost 20K followers, right? You were on a lot of major media platforms. You were the news of the week, and then they stopped.
Then it stopped. It got swept under the rug real quick because you had people. Again, like I said, this whole conversation is gonna carry on it's just gonna be a domino effect because even when you had back on Fig, you had my brother did my brother know majority of the podcasts. He did 2 podcasts, 2 interviews, but they talk about it for that a good strong week, and then it just disappears. Now we understand it's for views and stuff. We understand that, but it goes into this shit that we were doing is in people's family, and they are so conditioned to sweep it under the rug. If that was me, if you see me and my brother, We don't, like, if somebody bring up a catch that we had caught, we'll still talk about it like it's new.
Right.
Because we're not looking at it as, today's catch is last week's catch. It's just old now. No, it's still fresh because these people
are still out there.
They're still out there, and they all they need is opportunity. That's it. And that's all I know when we catch pedophiles. All I know is they need an opportunity. It don't matter what we do to them. You can kick up. Listen, bro, when you go in, I got a Saudi Arabian homeboy. Out there in Saudi Arabia, you know the cure for pedophilia?
What?
It's death. Come on now, bro.
That's crazy.
That's
not even crazy though. It's kind of like
look, Keith, I don't give a fuck what you say. You find out somebody and listen, it cannot be true, but if you find out somebody touched your daughter, you don't give a fuck. Somebody head got to be on this table.
Yeah.
While you doing an interview, doing this is what you got to learn for. Don't touch. You got to make it sense because once a child's innocent is taken, it's finished, bro.
Right.
Like let's just keep it 100. We were children at one point.
Oh, that part. I was about to say that. Bro.
Listen, we were children. If I take a picture when I was 7, I'm innocent. Eyes big,
right.
pupils white. I'm innocent.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't until I went out in the world and I got corrupted. I was indulging different things and seeing different things to where it alternated my mind to where I'm like, now I'm a grown man and I know shit that I shouldn't know.
Right.
Because that's the reason why I say we have to protect the children. Once a child gets corrupted, it's really hard to fix them. It's bro.
Yeah.
It's
irreplaceable. It doesn't.
That's why you have these children's sex rings where children come up abducted, and they take the children, they just fuck them up and corrupt them. By the time you can know a child that got taken when she was 7, and the next time you see her, she's 37. She's finished. You'll try to tell her, leave him. Then she won't believe you. She'll think you bad.
That part. See, okay, so I know you have experience with family members or friends with that because that's something that only somebody that has somebody like that in their life can vouch for you. I completely understand. So I think it's a trip to this day. We got shows like the Jerry Springer show that's been running longer than the fucking the Chris Hansen show.
Yeah.
Why would you cancel the Chris Hansen show? They're canceling pedophiles, whereas you get a Jerry Springer type show and they got bitches with their titties out fighting each other.
They canceled the Chris Hansen show because the Senate got caught. That's a telltale.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
It's a telltale sign that's showing you people in power. They do that shit.
Hey, you know what's a trip is guess. Okay, so we're talking about Adam 22, his connection to the Clintons, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those are just the Clintons. I mean, that's what I know offhand. That's with me out without doing extensive research. If I did extensive research, I'm sure I can find that, it's out there. He's connected to some of the other politicians. Right? But you remember Jeffrey Epstein, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know of his island.
His island,
right? Who the fuck was on that island but the Clintons? One, but
it's
both.
not even just them. It was other.
And it was a lot of other ones.
There's a lot of other.
But it's like
the Clintons was on there because the thing is, matter of fact, shout out to Marvelous Inc. He'll tell you the reason why you go after the children is because when you do like child sacrifice and all that shit, is when you killing them while they're alive, it makes the blood and the blood cells create adrenochrome. It's like it's called adrenochrome, but it's their adrenaline that keeps going. That's why, people make a big deal about, when you, if you're eating meat, you got to make sure you're not eating an animal that died with trauma or some shit like that.
That's a trip. I never heard of that, but you know what? I would see that being the thing.
So they have it to where that's why they do that with children, sacrifice because when they consume the blood, when the child is in trauma state, from what they're saying is it make them youthful, is make them last longer. It makes them live longer, basically.
It's weird.
You know, Marvelous Inc., look at his interview. He stated this up on a street with Spider Loke. He talked about his Spider Loke, and he was giving some real information. He gave a gang of people that got busted because his information is like how we know about the Epstein Island. It's not a secret no more. Everybody knows.
Yeah, at that point,
everybody know that certain people are pedophiles. Everybody know that. Everybody indulge in a certain lifestyle. Everybody know that people are ending up kidnapped, human trafficking, all that shit. But people are so desensitized by it in society. It's just like they could just, the fact that they're saying it and it's not like man, bro, this shit crazy. It's just like, oh yeah, human trafficking.
This shit alone, low key, we could do a full not even an hour, nigga, 2 hours. Let me take a quick ass break.
Yeah.
Let me go take a piss.
All right.
The Mobcast.